Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of RecuitMilitary Live, a continuing series of live broadcasts covering all things military transition, veteran employment, mil-spouse employment, and much, much more. My name is Lucas Connolly, a retired U.S. Army officer and former TAP program manager, here to share with you the ins and outs of making the move from military service to civilian employment. If you're in search of meaningful employment after the military, you're in the right place. Please visit rmvets.com/live to learn more. According to the National Association for Colleges and Employers, your average U.S. company attends or is represented at a career fair more than 40 times a year. Over 33,000 transitioning service members attend RecruitMilitary career fairs alone each year seeking employment. For those that are smart enough to make best use of one of our career fairs and make sure that attending one is high on their priority list during transition, you need to be prepared. Today's guest attended a RecruitMilitary career fair some 6 years ago while transitioning from the Army to civilian life. Fast forward to 2022, and he regularly represents his employer at career fairs. Today, we'll be looking at career fair experience both from the exhibitor and from the job seeker perspective, from both sides of the table, and hopefully taking with us some tips, some techniques, and some lessons learned that'll increase your likelihood of success. Our guest today graduated from Indiana University of Pennsylvania way back in 1998, earning a commission in the Army as an armor officer. He's been forward deployed to the Republic of Korea as well as serving in the combat zones of Iraq and Afghanistan. Today, he is a project manager for Bunting Architectural Metals and an aspiring micro farmer in the greater Pittsburgh region of Pennsylvania. He's going to be sharing with us his unique insights at career fairs. An old friend of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Justin Jocuns.
Good afternoon, Lucas. It's nice to see you again. Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Well, you're welcome. Only about half of it was exaggeration and 40% was lies. The rest was all truth.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see you again. It's good to have you on the show. Now that y'all out there in internet land know who we are, we'd love to hear who you are. Hit that chat window. Let us know where you're watching from, who you're with, who you've served with, what your status is. Are you active duty, in transition, about to retire? Are you a mil-spouse or a caregiver? We want to hear from you. And if you got questions, comments, issues, or concerns, feel free to jump into the chat window, and time allowing, we will address them. So, Justin, before we jump into the subject matter, just tell us a little bit about your military experience and your transition to civilian life.
It's pretty straightforward. I think, after about, when did I get out? After about 17 years of military service, in the Obama administration was looking to downsize. Early retirement was offered, so it was a good idea to get out. As you said, you earned a commission as an armor officer, so 17 years prior to leaving, you immediately walk in, in a leadership and a management role. So you learn all those lessons, and that's what I picked up everywhere, going to a leadership position and a staff assignment and kind of that on and off cycle. So it was fun, and leaving, it's very tough. The skills that you get in the Army, people are interested in taking advantage of that because you already have a great skill set. So it's less that any employer has to teach you, which is difficult for you as the military member to really clearly communicate that and translate that into civilian speak.
Okay. Now, today we're talking career fairs, and these career fairs they can be pretty intimidating. You pull up and there's dozens and dozens, 60, 70, 80 vendors, and not vendors, excuse me, but employer exhibitors. Everybody seems sharp and ready to rock and roll. They all look like they're slaying the corporate environment. It can be a little off-putting. One of the things that career fair attendees tend to ask early on is, what do I wear? Tell us, Justin, from an impression standpoint, what's important about the way a career fair attendee dresses, and what do those employers notice the most?
Well, attire is very important, and I've done that also. You dress yourself to the nines wearing a business suit, and you end up there, and you look better than the people that you're trying to solicit a job from. It does feel a little bit awkward, and you can feel like you're overdressed. But it also depends on what kind of job you're looking for. So, if you are, a retired officer and you're looking for a management position or some senior position, you should look like what that role looks like. Mm-hmm. Especially if you're going to a bigger company. Home Depot is very established. It's a billion-dollar company every year, you should look like what you want to be, a well-dressed manager or executive. If you're going somewhere, say, if it's, a security position, that seems pretty popular after you leave the Army. Those guys don't wear suits and ties every day, or sometimes they do, depending on that position that you're going to go for. The best way you can dress, I would say, is give yourself some flexibility. If you're going to go to a vendor that's very serious and well represented, you should have a suit and a tie on. But you could take your jacket off and you could present yourself as being a little more casual if it's a position, or if that vendor who's there looks like they're more casual, and it would be easier for you to have a conversation with them that way.
And I have done that where I've shown up to an event very early and kind of scoped out the parking lot and decided at the last minute to take the tie off or to leave the jacket in the vehicle, just so that you don't look out of place. And if you are going to be out of place for the right reason. Be overdressed, not underdressed.
Right. Oh, definitely. Error on the side of being overdressed. And I would say another, giveaway. The things that kind of jump out as me, right or wrong or whatever, is your belt should match your shoes. Or if your shoes are really beaten up because they're old and you don't wear your dress shoes very often, take some time and clean them up. Or maybe it's a good time to invest in a good pair of civilian shoes that are comfortable, because if you're at a job fair, you're going to be on your feet walking around all day in a different pair of shoes you're not accustomed to. It does turn into a distraction anywhere where you're trying to put your best foot forward.
And absolutely do not wear those Class A dress uniform Stay Bright shoes.
No, in fact,
I have seen it.
I've seen it also. And I don't know if that's, at least they're trying to do the right thing. Some people show up wearing their work boots. They still have dirt on them, because they're showing up for lunch, or they're showing up on their lunch break to check out a job fair, to see what their options are, and they're leaving straight from work. You do want to put some effort into, putting on clean clothes, comb your hair, take a pack of gum with you so you can freshen up your breath if if you are doing it over a lunch break. Something that makes you stand out for the right reasons, as you said. I said drink water too.
Yeah.
Because if you're there talking the entire day, it does get old. Your throat gets a little bit dry. You kind of just get wore out saying the same things over and over again. And it might help stand out in the parking lot, stretch a little bit. Those are good military habits that you can bring forward, and then have some confidence too. Whenever you're talking to a vendor, you could tell them that. You say, "Hey, I've been drinking water." Say it with a smile on your face. I might tell them I'm not used to talking all day long, but you're projecting that you're trying to be prepared.
And probably have a decent breakfast. Keep your blood sugar up.
Do that. Yeah, I'd say a lot of times they'll have snacks there at job fairs, or they might just have coffee and water. So throw a granola bar in your pocket.
All right, so we've got the right outfit picked out. We're prepared for the job fair. It's hanging in the closet. It's probably been to the dry cleaners. It's pressed and starched. We know what we're going to wear. We're not going to wear a bunch of gaudy jewelry, and we are going to wear a nice pair of shoes that we bought from the local store, not that we got from CIF. Now, fortune favors the prepared. Obviously, people are going to want to read your resume. People are going to want to read your LinkedIn profile before deciding whether or not to give you a job or even to give you an interview. What kind of research do you think job seekers should be doing before they show up to that registration desk at their first job fair?
Like I said, translation is very important because the lingo is very different. Know what you want to do. From my experience, from the people who I hire, we're looking for project managers, and that's a heavy planning background. For someone who has to, they have to organize things. They have to be able to use a schedule. You have to be versed in Microsoft Office suite. You should be able to type at least 40 words a minute accurately. But all those things, when you know what vendor, when you know what job you're looking for, you can then go to the website for the hiring event. RecuitMilitary is very good at it, just showing who's going to be there and what positions they're looking for.
Okay.
Most other careers do that as well. So, research it. If you're looking for a project manager's position, I'll use that as an example because that's what I did and that's what I look for. Look one up and one down because you'll know what a project coordinator is, right? They do a lot of the same work that a project manager does, but they don't have the same decision-making level, or they don't coordinate things that are as high of a dollar value.
So by extension, you might recommend that folks make a plan. Okay, these are the 60 or 65 or 70 exhibitors that are going to be here. Who do I want to talk to, and what do I want to talk to them about based on what they're listing?
Yeah, you could do that, and then go to them specifically. Don't just make your lap around a room. Seek them out, get them while they're fresh. And if they have a long line of people that's waiting to talk to that one recruiter, try to time it out. Don't wait in line, wasting your time. But also, don't be this the person who gets there one right after the next, because those guys get tired of they don't want to talk all morning long, or they do, but it does wear on you. So you can kind of time it out. But then it also gives you some flexibility, because they may have a different description than what you looked up. So, a project manager from one company may not have the same requirements as a project manager from another company. Or they may call it something different, as a project coordinator, or or if they're saying that we need a project estimator, that is very, very different from a project manager or a project coordinator. You would know
right.
That might not be what you're looking for. But then it gives you flexibility, because if you know other things that they have that you might go for, then you can continue to have a conversation with them and apply for something else.
Okay, so we're getting ready to start these conversations. What are some of the best things that these transition service members, veteran job seekers, mil spouses can be prepared to do to market themselves? We've heard about elevator pitches. We've heard about being prepared to answer certain questions. What's a good way to prepare for what essentially becomes a miniature interview?
The first thing I would say is approach it with a lot of confidence. Most employers, they don't really know what to expect out of a military member, other than giving a quick gratuity to say thanks for your service. After that, you're another person to them. I would have a polite, appropriate response for that. Put the comment to say thank you for your service. You can just say, hey, it was I enjoyed serving in the military, but now I'm looking for something else. But yeah, the first thing I said was project confidence. Those people are there looking for you. And if you're a human resources manager and you go back from a recruiting meeting and have nothing to show for it, it's going to be bad for them, because it was just a waste of time and money. And I say that to say, don't. It's intimidating, but don't let yourself be overly intimidated. And then the next thing, your previous guest, George Randall, he made a comment I 100% agree with. Have a script. The 10
right.
The 10 top questions you ask. You're going to have those answers down, and then there's probably 10 more that you can reasonably expect. Yeah, honestly, it's a script. It's a written conversation. I did use one for myself that I built after going to several job fairs, and I would update it. And you rehearse the conversation. It gets you into the mindset, and then the questions come in a various order. You already have your answers that they're figured out. You can nest them in and weave them together. And just instead of having a question and answer session, it turns into a comfortable, confident conversation where you're talking about yourself most of the time.
Yeah, it shouldn't be robotic. It shouldn't be just a recitation.
Exactly. And I think that's really what makes anyone stand out in an interview, military or otherwise, or at a job fair, is the ability to have just a casual conversation. And as you said, don't be a robot.
Right. Ultimately, you can go into an interview, you can look great on paper, and you can have all the right qualifications, you can have all the right skills, you can have all the right education and certification, but you've got to be likable, because you could be the perfect candidate on paper, but if you come across as cocky instead of confident, or just wooden and unfeeling, your chances are going down. At the end of the day, they hope to hire somebody they're going to be working with, so they've kind of got to like you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think my most recent military job there, that very thing happened. The gentleman that I spoke with, he was overqualified for just about everything, with all the languages that he spoke. And he definitely had confidence and took control of the conversation, but it made him sort of awkward. And he was coming from a security background, not a project management or a construction background.
And you said something there interesting about kind of controlling the conversation. Some people will come into that situation feeling that, they're going to walk up and they're going to say, hey, my name is, what are you guys looking for? And think that the other person is going to drive that conversation, where they may get it reversed back to them. Well, what are you looking for? What can we do for you? What are you seeking? And that's a point in time where, someone who's smart will drive the conversation in the direction they want to go. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think I as a vendor enjoy that when someone comes up and says, hey, what are you looking for today? Asking me, almost like as they're asking me how they could help me find someone they're looking for. And I'll tell them the various positions. At that point, the career fair members, they're listening to me. And they can sort of start the war game and they can feel me out. And it gives them a chance to sort of relax and listen, injecting a little bit of humor or a joke. Even if you
can't hurt.
Humor is very nice. A little bit of humor, an appropriate amount, and a confident smile goes a long way. You can comfortably make a joke and say, wow, those sound like great positions, but that's nothing that I'm looking for. What I am looking for is X, or, my experiences are, public speaking, being in front of a group, talking to, several individuals, or organizing loosely structured problems. That sort of gives them some things about you, again, in a casual conversation setting that they now can think of, if they're an effective human resources manager, they know the positions that they need. And you might fit in there somewhere else.
What about the resume? Carry copies of your resume with you? Produce them when asked?
100%. 100% have a copy of your resume. Now, at the risk of sounding like a LinkedIn sponsor or a member, LinkedIn is very good about having that, a QR code that you can scan. And I've used that also. That was really helpful because I, as an employer, I'd meet so many people, I'd forget their name. I would remember a few things about their experiences. And LinkedIn gives you a list that shows who you met, and you can look at that, and it helps narrow down, and go back to the guy or gal that you think, oh, I wanted to spend more time talking to them, but I couldn't because something else happened.
I've been to a couple of these events where, and what some folks have said to me is, hey, pick up your phone and do this and do that and hit this button. Your QR code pops up, and then the other person can then immediately scan off your phone the QR code. But unfortunately, the venue has terrible service. Is there another method, a business card, a slip of paper? I mean, how do we pass that URL without creating a long thing for somebody to write down?
A good technique, and you can inexpensively get yourself a set of business cards, just a personal card with your name, and your personal professional looking email and phone number on it. I wouldn't go so far as put a resume on the back of the card. That gets kind of busy.
Might be much.
Yeah, but a personal card is I guess it's kind of a the dish that has the little for calling cards. Whenever you go to someone's party on New Year's, you drop your calling card in. Kind of an outdated an outdated form of socializing, but that works for a vendor. It shows that you're prepared, and it's it's kind of like a very subtle but classy touch that makes you stand out for a good reason.
Okay, so we've dressed appropriately for the career fair. We've made a plan. We've done some research. We know who we want to talk to when we get there. We're shaking hands. We're rolling on our elevator pitch. We're making contacts. All right. The career fair ends. What's next? Should we be following up with these folks that we've talked to?
Yes.
What's the best way to do that?
Or two ways. Speaking at it from the point of view of the person who was looking for a job, follow up with a short, maybe 2 to 3 sentence email the next day, at least the next day, to say, thank you for speaking with me at the career fair on this location. We spoke about these 2 positions, and I am still interested. Please let me know what comes from what the next step is or what is required. Now that's a very formal way to do it. If you were applying somewhere, say for a carpentry position, or it was informal, you could also follow up with a text. But that's as a person, as the person looking for a job, you kind of have to feel that out to know what is appropriate. A phone call, I don't think you need a phone call follow up. And if you follow it up in the next day, give it a week, follow up again, just to kind of keep it on their mind, because human resources managers and recruiters, they get busy and they might overlook it. That would be that's really the follow up on you. But don't get discouraged, because there's a lot of people out there all looking for the same jobs. something that might make you stand out or doesn't make you stand out, someone else will get the job, and it's unfortunate, but they'll save you for next time, and you might see them again at the next job fair or somewhere else down the road, or they might just kind of call you out of the blue.
Okay, so what about just to kind of bring a little levity to the conversation here? What about some don't do's? I mean, I'm sure you've seen a few nightmares. One of the things I think you mentioned before was, hey, it's not uncommon to carry a pocket knife, but you don't need that 8-inch Applegate folder hanging off your dress pants. It doesn't speak much to your corporate culture fit. What kind of don't do's or nightmares have you seen?
Yeah, if you recall, the AFN commercial about being that guy, don't be that guy. Like you said, the giant pocket knife, or if you have a pocket knife, don't be so eager to just like whip it out and start helping someone else. Kind of let the situation develop a little bit. I mentioned carry a pack of gum or a breath mint, something to keep your breath fresh. Everyone you drink coffee all morning long. Freshen up your breath. Let's see the other don'ts.
You probably don't need to have a big old wad of Red Man in your mouth as you're walking around with a spit bottle in your back pocket.
That kind of goes without saying, I thought, but that's a good point. At a professional career fair, you do not want to have that. I would also say, don't just show up. If you know a career fair is coming up, get a good night's rest the night before. You mentioned having some breakfast. I don't think you have to have a makeup crew, where you try to cover up the dark circles under your eyes, but you should, the normal things. Get a haircut a couple days before. Mm-hmm. Think about what you're going to wear. Make sure it's comfortable. Don't be so eager. Don't be the high energy military person. That could be considered off-putting. But the more prepared you are, and the more you are practiced at carrying on just a kind of a regular conversation about yourself, that's what will really stand out. When you ask for don'ts, don't just fall into that promotion board mentality where your goal is to answer the question as quickly and as accurately as possible. It's not yes or no. Be prepared to talk. Be ready to talk about hobbies. I would also say speak slowly, because it's not a promotion board. You're not trying to crank out an answer where someone's going to check a box. They want to talk to you.
All right, sounds good. As we dial, what's that?
Clean your glass. Not you personally clean your glasses. I'd say if you're a glasses wearer, you overlook that. Your glasses get all kind of dusty and dirty. Just clean your glasses. That helps you stand out for a good reason.
All right. Well, this sounds fantastic. So have a plan, be prepared, have a script, know how you're going to answer the questions, dress appropriately, make sure the shoes look good, the shoes match the belt. All right. Don't be a stereotypical Army bro with the gigantic pocket knife hanging off the belt. A lot of good words of wisdom. Bring your resume. Have your QR code ready for your LinkedIn. And by all means, follow up. All great pieces of advice. Justin, if you had just one piece of advice to lend to somebody who was getting ready to go to a job fair, something to make them stand out and to increase their chance of being successful, you got 30 seconds to deliver it. What's that one takeaway?
Prepare the week before. As we talked about with a script, know what all your answers are for questions, and you can sprinkle them in and have a conversation. Know what you're looking for, and have confidence. Those couple things, those two things, having a script and being prepared, that will give you the confidence that makes you stand out.
Awesome. Justin, thanks for taking time to be with us today. We really appreciate your perspective as someone who's been on both sides of the table at a RecruitMilitary job fair.
No problem. I'm happy to help. I wish everyone luck. If there's anything I can do to help you or anybody in the area, please, you have my contact information. Pass it along.
Excellent. And for those of you who are going to be preparing for a job fair with RecruitMilitary or with any other agency, RecruitMilitary is now offering 2 virtual webinars that provide best practices for networking and effectively preparing for hiring events. Keep an eye on the chat. We're going to be dropping the link to where those 2 webinars are. One for event prep best practice, as we discussed today, and for how to set up your resume for success. Additionally, if you haven't already done so, do yourself a solid and head over to www.recruitmilitary.com. There on our job board, you'll find over 400,000 opportunities with 16,000 companies, coast to coast, around the corner and around the world. We're on a mission to help veterans, transitioning service members, and mil spouses find meaningful employment. On behalf of Recruit Military and the folks that joined us today, Justin, thanks for taking the time to be with us.
Thanks for the invite, Lucas.
All right, folks, and next week, if you tune in, you won't see anything. I'm heading off to the Military Influencer Conference in Las Vegas. I'll be sure to let you know how that went. In the meantime, that gives you a whole lunch break on Wednesday to relax, kick back, and maybe take a micro nap before you go into your afternoon. So catch up with me in about 2 weeks. And until then, folks, good luck and Godspeed.